Hello everybody and welcome back to RainBro Crafts. My name is Colton and today I will be making for you a soap that we call Trailhead. It is inspired by all of those amazing hikes that we have here in the Pacific Northwest, and each hike always starts out with a trailhead, and that was the inspiration for this soap, for the design, and also for the fragrance. So stay tuned and watch us make some Trailhead soap. Alrighty, let's get started on this Trailhead soap. So, if you have been watching our most recent videos, you'll know that we have been pre-blending our colloidal oatmeal into our oil blend because we changed our colloidal oatmeal supplier and it's a little gummier than we prefer it to be to pass through the sieve. So that's why this looks different than normal. Another thing different than normal is that in addition to the lye water that I just added, I also added in 2 tablespoons of the Cabin in the Woods mica from Nurture Handmade, which if you watched our video from Tuesday, you'll know it's my favorite green mica. I also added in some pumice and some coconut husk for a little bit of like an exfoliating texture. And then we will add in our fragrance oil, which is called Sweet Scented Pacific Trail from Brambleberry. This is a citrusy, a little florally scent, but it has some good quality musky, woodsy base notes that really help take it from a traditional floral scent into more of a woodsy type scent. So I would not classify this as a floral fragrance oil, which is really great. It's a nice addition to our wildflower collection, and I will blitz that up just like always. For the design of this, I was trying to envision a trailhead for a hike. So when you're kind of standing right at the beginning of the hike, you haven't started yet, and at least in Washington and Oregon where we are, there's a lot of pine trees and evergreen trees, and so that's what inspired this color. And also the addition of the exfoliant, because it kind of looks like tree bark. So I was imagining looking up the trail and seeing the evergreen trees, all different hues of green. So that inspired the gradient green design that I am doing here, which entails slowly adding in color between layers. So you'll see that I just added in 2 additional tablespoons of that green mica, which is just suspended in a little of the soap oil base that I took out before I started adding in all the other bits and bobs to it. And we will blitz that up as well. I don't know what I did, but I didn't have the stick blender stick on very well. So you will see here momentarily, it just falls off. And I kind of just gave up for 2 reasons. One, some soap got in the top there and I prefer to just wash that out. But also because I'm doing a triple layer soap, it works better to hand whisk anyways, because you can kind of control the speed of the soap setting up a little better because you are manually kind of whisking it, you're manually manipulating the soap batter, so you have a better idea of how thick it actually is getting. And then once that green is mixed in, I'm gonna go back to our slab there with a scraper and just do some pushes around to get a nice texture. I started out wanting this kind of a like random organic texture and I didn't quite like it. So then I went back in and I thought of doing like a mohawk or mountain design, which kind of fit the theme of Trailhead a little better, because this is going to look a little bit more like trees and a little less just like random swoops in the soap bar at the end at least. And you can see that the soap batter is setting up really nicely. It is not really moving too quickly that you couldn't do a multiple layer design and have to worry about it, which is surprising because in the past when we've done scents with jasmine, which this has in it, that has not always played super nicely, and it's caused the soap batter to accelerate to a point that you wouldn't be able to do this. So that is a win in my book. I will then go in with the next third of soap batter, being very careful to pour. Even though the base is set up and I'm breaking the fall, you still can kind of smush things around. And while it's not a huge deal for this specific design, if you're really trying to get like a crisp delineation, you don't want to have all your hard work go to waste. You will see that I poured into the low points of the swoops before I poured into the tips of the swoops, and that's because pouring into those low points first act as kind of a brace, basically, to keep the soap in place. If you poured right into the middle where I had the like mohawk section, it would have squished it down and you would have lost that definition. So that is why I did that way. And then once that's all in and I've leveled it off a little bit to let it set up, I will go back to our Cambro for a third time and the final time and put in the remainder of that mica in that oil. And I'll scrape down the sides. I'll get my whisk out again and we will whisk this in. The one thing that I kind of forgot about with this fragrance oil is that it does discolor to a brown tone. And I was hoping it wouldn't be quite as drastic as it is, and you'll see that when I cut this, that it does turn pretty brown. So I kind of wish I would have just done an uncolored soap or used a brown tone instead of this green tone, because you kind of lost some of the definition that I had hoped you would get. This is not a fault of Brambleberry, because their website has a picture of the soap that was made using this fragrance oil, and it definitely is brown. And I'll put a picture up in the corner here so you can see that. It is just a me kind of overlooking that, or hoping that the mica could do a little more work than it physically was able to do. It still looks nice, and it still looks very naturey and organic, and kind of gives the vibes of like you would take this camping with you to wash in like a picturesque mountain stream or something like that. We are going to scrape out the remainder of this Cambro. Like I said, we're not coming back to it. We just want to make sure we get all of that soap batter out as best as we can, and then we will flatten this out again. The reason I do this even when I'm doing swoops is that I want to make sure that the soap batter is evenly distributed, so some parts are getting more soap than other parts, and this is the easiest way to do that. It is very easy to pour, especially towards the end of a triple layer soap design, and not realize that one corner is lower than the other corner. So smoothing it out first is really, really beneficial to make sure that you're getting a nice even distribution of that soap batter. For the top, I'm going to do that mohawk tree-ish design again. And then I was inspired by, I think it was Borealis, but it might have been Velvet Moon. It was one of those two soaps from our essential oil showdown. I'll put a card up in the corner for what video it was from. But I really liked that design I did where I had very like scant mica distributed all over the top of the soap. So I'm going in with a pretty loose hand and not a lot of mica on my paintbrush there, and just tapping kind of all over. The goal is to get some mica in each bar when we cut it, but not to have an even layer. It just looked really cool, especially on a darker colored background like this green, or it's going to be more brown at the end, but it looked really, really cool. So I wanted to kind of copy that. So I used some copper mica, and then I am using some green mica as well. I think this one is called Snake Island, I want to say. We'll then spritz it with some rubbing alcohol, tuck it away in a warm spot for 24 hours, and then it is time to unmold and slice up. And you can see what I mean by the soap discoloring to a brownish tone. The top green part does look pretty nice, and I think it stayed pretty true to form. But you can see, especially the cure ring there, how brown it turned versus what the inside looks like. But that is okay. It's not the end of the world, especially with this design. If I would have been going for something else, I maybe would have been a little disappointed. So not to worry. We'll then break out Dorothy, slice up our soap, and we can see those layers. Now, this is nice. It looks nice. I wish there was a little better definition between the three colors. So I probably would have redone how I did the mica, maybe done some different shades of green instead of just one shade and just slowly added it in. But it looks really nice. I love the smell of this soap. And this soap, along with all of our other soap from the Wildflower collection, will be for sale starting May 1st online and in person. And it is really a collection to check out. We have some really great soaps this month, or I guess next month when the collection comes out, and it really is ushering us into that spring summer season where you could very realistically take this camping with you or on like a cabin vacation, which I would love. Thank you to all of our subscribers. They get soaps, candles, bath bombs each and every month from us, depending on the tier that they have selected. They also get extra RainBro bucks, birthday bucks, and shout outs at the end of our video. Here are all of our big ol' flamers, our little flamers, our foamy homies, and our suddy buddies. We appreciate them because they make this channel possible. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell icon, and also let me know what is your favorite type of wildflower. I really want to know. I would say mine is probably like a foxglove. That is the flower I'm always drawn towards. Thanks for watching. Bye.